What's up with solid chicken cheese, everybody? It is your boy R.A.P. Retroid here, and today I've got the long-awaited, mostly by me, because I'm stupid and I couldn't keep focused. The story time, which is actually kind of there's some I wanted to ask you guys about. Two questions actually. First off, before we start, you're just as you hear the first two chapters of it, I want you guys to help me think of a name, and then I'll choose whichever's the best one, even though. Most likely there's probably going to be no one or one person answering, and it could be everyone. I don't know. I just want you guys to name this book, and also I want you guys to think of the gender of the character, what you guys want it to be. And for the purpose of this whole thing, I've made it completely genderless for the first 4 chapters. Absolutely genderless. There is no way to figure out if it's male or female. I wanted it to be vague so you guys could do it yourself. So anyway, let's go ahead and get right into it because, hey, I've been working on this for like 2 or 3 weeks now, and I've decided it's finally time, and we need to get the first 2 chapters out. So, hope you guys really do enjoy it, and I'll see you guys at the very end. Chapter 1. Hey kid, the mall's closing, so I'm gonna need you to leave. I'm abruptly awakened by a towering figure standing over me. Say, before you go, can I ask you why you were passed out in the back corner of a Sears? I groggily rose to answer the person. I was tired and I wanted to rest. The voice seemingly pondered before continuing the conversation. So who'd you come here with? While the person spoke, I looked over them to see what chances I had to escape them. It was a male security guard, seemingly in his mid to late 30s, with a few gray hairs on his head, perfectly complementing his receding hairline. His eyes were a weird shade of light blue with speckles of brown. His nose was slightly bent to the left and was swollen. His disheveled facial hair reminded me of a mountain man, just using a razor after 4 years, and his hair was so thick it nearly made his mouth almost invisible, and I was surprised to see that his voice wasn't muffled by the hair itself. He was a bit chubby, and kept his blemished hands on his belt at all times. His suit had a name tag that read, Fisher. Fisher's belt was missing 2 essential items, a gun and a can of mace. I came here by myself. I live 2 blocks away. I repeated the same thing I've said hundreds of times, looking for an easy escape route. Seeing no viable option that could be enacted without some sort of violence, I decided to see where this conversation would go. Well, I guess I better escort you to the front, so you don't seem suspicious, Fisher says to me, stroking his facial hair. I think to myself, good. Maybe this will be easy for once. I'm prepared to walk out of the mall with a grin. That is, until he grasped my wrist and started walking out of the Sears at a fast pace. Sir, you don't need to hold me. I can walk fine on my own. Fisher doesn't let go, but instead grips my wrist tighter and walks with more urgency. I try to ignore his grip and struggle to keep up with his pace until we get to the main lobby, where he stoops and scans the area. After checking to his content, he takes a left towards the security room. When I began to pull away from his harsh grasp, he looks back at me with anger seething from his eyes. He leans in towards my ear and hisses at me, I know who you are, so you won't be getting easy away this time. Then he pulls out a pair of handcuffs that were fastened onto his belt and prepares to stick them on me. Working in quick fashion, I send one leg flying into his crotch at full speed. He howls in pain, falling to the floor, clutching his family jewels. I take this as my chance to leave and dart towards the exit, but before I manage to get out of the hall, I hear Fisher's hoarse voice calling for backup as soon as possible. Now forcing myself to go double time, I basically fly to the front lobby and out the front doors. I quickly glance around my surroundings, a place that I've come to constantly familiarize myself with. The mall looming behind me, while the huge parking lot sprawled around the mall itself, making the mall the center of its own universe. I instantly began moving towards the back of the mall, blending in with the stragglers and teens, left loitering until they're kicked out. It isn't too hard to blend in when they're mostly dressed like me, simple hoodies, jeans, and worn-out skate shoes. I find one group and slowly milling about in the general direction of the back, around 90-ish feet, including the 2 turns it took to get to there. As I round the last corner, I can hear the sirens in the distance, indicating the cavalry has arrived. Once again, filled with urgency, I removed the lock that I picked weeks ago upon my arrival here. I shoved the lock into my pocket whilst opening the metal cover on the ladder up to the roof of the mall. It was a fairly high climb, so I would get 2 rungs at a time, hoping to speed things at least slightly. About halfway up the ladder, the sirens grew louder, then stopped growing, gaining volume, probably parked in front of the mall, talking to a wounded Fisher about my whereabouts and description. Fisher would probably paint me in a bad light, saying I assaulted him for no reason and making the local law put out a search warrant. Just thinking of that happening made me want to rip his throat out through his chubby belly. I let my anger fuel the rest of the climb, thinking, oh yeah, he'll get his. But he couldn't keep quiet and just let me be. When I reached the top, I quickly and quietly closed the gate, with the cops still roaming around. I sneak unnecessarily to the other side of the building where I have a bag stored with all my night gear behind the generator. After sitting down next to the gear for a minute or two, I noticed the sun started to set and checked the time, 8:02. The whole ordeal must have taken nearly an hour, so I decided to get suited up for my last night in this town. Chapter 2. For a kid who started out with nothing, I had some pretty good equipment. I guess boosting valuables from a bunch of rich snobs was the best call. I had 2 tonfas that worked quite well if I ever caught myself in a pinch, that were sheathed on a chess piece that was made out of a lightweight carbon Kevlar mix, and was as black as midnight, with a hood paired, and a mask that was also with plain black. My pants were made out of a similar material as the chess piece, and my shoes were a nice pair of black toe shoes with an extra bit of padding, added by yours truly. When I finished suiting up, I checked the time, around 8:50. I took out my final piece of equipment, a pair of binoculars equipped with thermal and night vision lenses, and peered through them at Fisher, who seemed to recover and was now moving towards his car, which was lonely in the lot, for the cops and loiterers cleared out long ago. Only me and the target. By now, the sun had dipped behind the horizon, and I was under the cover of darkness. I quickly ran over to the ladder and slid down as quickly as I could. After hitting the ground, I went over to a patch of trees next to the lot and pulled out my bike from the bushes. I started pedaling towards the car that was leaving the lot, towards what I assumed was his home. So I gave him some space while pedaling on the sidewalk, and started to think back on why I was in this dingy town anyways. Some bad info and horrible timing, that's why. But it was mostly Gerald's fault. Alright guys, well, like I said, that was the first 2 chapters of the book. Now, of course, it may sound a bit weird to you guys, because I did have a few mess-ups, as you do when you're reading out these things. Sometimes you mess up. So there's going to be a few cuts that may not sound right, but other than that, everything should be fine. And if you guys like it, of course, you guys should probably leave a like, just in case, or, I might get our unnamed friend over here to take out their tonfas and beat you with them after robbing you blind. Anyway, I hope you guys really do enjoy the series, because I'm having a lot of fun, making the story. So, in a nutshell, it's probably going to take a while to finish it, because I want this one to be pretty long, around 200 pages. And if it does well, maybe I might get it published, edited and published, and then, make a second one. Or if not, I probably won't, but, I would always make a second one just in case. Because, I really do like writing, and I like sharing it with you guys, so I hope you enjoyed it. Of course, it was short, because the second chapter was a bit shorter than I remembered it to be, but the writing, some of the writing isn't off, it's just sometimes I forget what I wrote before it, because I do take breaks in between writing, and then come back to it, and I don't reread it, so it may sound a bit weird sometimes. And that's because I usually, sometimes I'll forget words, or I'll go too fast and forget what I was putting, but it should all be fixed, in editing, when I go through and I edit the voice and stuff. It should all be fixed, because you guys won't be able to hear it, because I'll fix it up. But one day I might put out, all the bloopers, I guess, of this, because there is a few, it's just really difficult sometimes to read what's on a paper to read what's on a page, because your eyes work faster than your brain, so it's kind of hard to just relate that when your eyes are swooping over lines and lines while your brain's struggling to keep up with the first one. So let's say, you know, you're reading something like I was, and it's like you're reading out the first line, but your eyes are already on the third one, so you gotta kind of just memorize what's going on. So that's why sometimes it's hard to read it. But anyway, like I said, hope you guys enjoyed. You know, and I'll see you guys next time. So yeah, wee.
Put work in the field, y'all niggas ain't real. Matches on fire, cause we put work in the field. Got a bitch calling me daddy, you know the deal. We whipping and flipping, my niggas stay holding still. Oh, that's real, oh, that's real, oh, that's real. Put work in the field, put work in the field. Oh, that's real, oh, that's real, oh, that's real. Put work in the field, put work in the field.